All right, let's get started. This morning, the 1st of April, and the market's about to start in roughly. All right, let's get started. About 15 seconds. Here we go. So the market opens up on a positive note to start the week and the month. And so a quick look at the market this morning. So as we can see here that the Dow did a little bit of a double bottom here, and now the count, like as we were trying to explain, is now on the sell setup, and we're going to wait till we try to fulfill the 9 like we've seen here and here. So the upside looks good. The S&P is the same thing. It does look better, and has a nice ascending channel, and the VIX is up at the same time, so that should give way at some point. Now Upwork is down $1, which is exactly how we were looking for this. Right, and there it is. It's a quick sell at 17.5, 17.2, and our next price target is somewhere around $16. So let's keep an eye out as that stock comes down. So even though the market is running to the upside, the shorts are, and the sellers are continuing to come into this name, and it doesn't seem like the exhaustion and the sellers have come yet. So we will continue to wait until that prints to a 9 or finish the countdown setup here to 13, and we're looking for the count and the price to meet at our second price target of $16. As VMK, that looks like it's a few pennies away from hitting our first price target of 18.5 as it breaks out of this channel. We can see further buying until, again, our first price target is 18.5, and that's basically still in the context of our sell setup. That should print to 9. And at that point, you could be taking profits right around here, and you should already have a sell 18.5. But if you're looking at it closely, you'll be a little flexible. Within 2% of our price target is good. If you don't want to wait a little longer, if you sell half of it, you can get greedy for the other half. So 10 cents for your first half a lot is not a big deal. And we can see that this sell setup is now getting stronger, and as it tries to break the all-time high of $20 a share, we can anticipate that the sell setup also coincides around that price. That bodes well. Let's look at some of the names that we've been talking about. recently. Lyft is down $5. That new IPO. Right. On an hourly basis, still hasn't. It's too new, so we have to wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even though this technically is the one. This is technically the one in the hourly. This bar, this is 2. But since it's such a new name, it's gonna wait until we have enough bars to go with. Now, Huya is another name we've been talking about. To this green line, and the 9 coincided with a lot of support levels price-wise. So that should have given you enough confidence to pick it up at $25. It's at 29. Within a couple of days, that's a nice one. Whoever's been following us, that's an analysis we've done and over the last few days, and that looks really, really good as it fulfills the upside. And again, that's still on a 3. So that's reaching our first price target of about 29 and change. And we're waiting for the next price target of $35. And it could easily power through it, but it's most likely we might see a little bit of consolidation right around the top here before we power straight through it. All right, let's look at other names there. Look at some other markets. Ten-year index is looking to bounce here, as you can see that the MACD formed a higher low versus January, even though the price have come down and made a lower low. So there's some divergence that you could take a quick look at and anticipate that this could be a good opportunity if you're into bonds. And ideally, you would like to see the countdown to be with it, but unfortunately, again, not every setup will have a timing setup as well. So just keep that in mind. Etsy, Square, let's look where Square is. That will probably set a new range soon. Etsy. See, there's 2 ways you can buy. You can buy it at the 9 and you can buy it at the 1. The 1 is a little bit more of a conservative buy because you're seeing that it's starting to make another move. The 9 would have been a pickup at a dip. And again, as it settled at the bottom of that trend line with a 9, it's not a bad pickup at 65, at 68, 65 and a half to 68 and a half. So far, that's a 5% move. Though the MACD still hasn't shown any positive divergence yet, but you can anticipate that. It's always going to be the price that we ultimately look at. And a lot of people are focused on the oscillators, even though, remember, before oscillators were made, it's all about price and volume. So that's the ultimate arbiter of where stocks are. And the other oscillators are just secondary. right, so the first 10 minutes of the market is now in. A quick rundown again. After an initial rip higher, we're selling off a little bit. There's some profit taking that is coming in. Levi's. So this is a nice rip from Levi's, and confirmation today. That would be a good sign, and I think this could be a good stock to watch. Look at the hourly. And as we can see, after the stock broke out here, the 8 and the 9, it was a powerful close on Friday. And now we're starting to see the first sell setup finish. And we can try to establish something here if people are interested in this name. Again, if you guys have any questions, ideas, send us an email and join us on our YouTube channel, and hopefully we can continue to bring the type of stocks you guys are looking at and give you analysis through our indicator. And you should be the judge of how our indicators are. As you can see over the last week, I fell in love with these indicators over 10 years ago, and I've never looked back. Obviously, there's a lot of different indicators out there, but this is quite easy to understand once you have a grasp, and it's much easier for me to follow than other technical trading tools out there. All right. Stamps.com, which collapsed after that deal fell through. Could find some sort of tapering off in the selling here as the sellers finally look to be exhausted. So that's an interesting name. As VMK sold off since it touched 1848, a couple pennies off of our first price target. So if you have that flexibility, great. If not, it still looks like it can still get above it. So should be okay with this trade as the market does a bit of some back end filling. But on the hourly, it's getting close to that 13, and we look for that to finish and then get followed by a 9. other ideas out here. Let's look at the 5 minutes. So there might be some settling here at 17 and 1764. That could be the first level of support. And on the hourly, it's a little bit below 18. So let's see which one wins out. Amazon on daily. That looks like it's ready to challenge this recent high. And that will also continue the sell setup. Right here. All the drawings so we can see everything cleanly. All right, so we had our stop here a while ago when the market was getting pretty volatile and gave us the bulls a scare that we might be rolling over to bear market. So now it's starting another leg higher. So if you guys are interested in this name, the stock will most likely challenge the $2,000 level. Give me the first point of resistance. Once we break through this little consolidated area. All right, let's look at some fast movers out here. ADXS is moving higher, but that's a reverse split. Again, these are not really interesting ideas. JD. This looks like it's ready to continue for another 3 days as a countdown for the sell setup continues. Interesting breakout here. Above the 200-day moving average is very good for stocks. I would like to see longer term where they are. So this looks like it is coming back. And this looks Looks like it has some further upside as well. There's not a point to chase it, however, because this line support is a little extended, so you might want to wait for it to come back down a little bit, and then if you're interested in this, could be a good place to get involved. Close to this level as possible, 30 bucks, 29 and change. Valet. Talked about rig as well. This was something we talked about quite recently. So it's looking to be more constructive now. Roku. Little double bottom here. Looks good. This was a big winner for us in the past. If you guys were involved in this initially back in July of last year, 46 to 77 in a few months. All right. But this can go again, especially with a healthy market. A lot of these high growth companies are bound to go with the market's momentum. So this is one of those companies that are momentum stocks. So a lot of these commodity related companies are going up today. Cliffs, Valet, Rig is obviously an oil related company. And these are big companies. Noble. No, it's not as clean as a chart that we would like. All right, so let's see what else we have here. Look at the market. It's challenging that high that we hit back in March, and with the count now looking to be favorable, it looks like we can break through it and also break through this line of resistance and most likely challenge the high as well. So bodes well for the market, and we are more bullish than we've been since we had this nice reversal here in the market. Again, the weekly showed us here that it could capture the 50-week moving average and very, very bullish. Even if we sell off, any level, just this strength of momentum here that got carried through could bode well for the bulls to wait for any pullback and buy it. All right, so as we can see in the past, like you said in our previous sessions, that was an important psychological resistance levels that we had to penetrate and go above in order for us to feel better about this market. So since we recaptured it, similar to here, we can start to count again for the bulls to step in when we see any type of sell-off. Let's look at Netflix here. Settling on that 50-day moving average. Oversold in the stochastics. MACD's still making a new low. However, again, it's the price that we care about. So at the end of the day, that's what's going to matter. All right, so let's see if anyone else joins us this morning. And as we can see, Upwork continues to settle lower in the short term. It's down buck while the market's up 170 points. So that's a good sign that the sellers are in this trade as we speak. Probably dumping the stock to look for better companies. And that's just how the market works. All right, so big volume coming in on the sell side, so that bodes well. Let's look at other names. TGTX, TG Therapeutics. This has been marching higher. And big volume coming out on Friday. As it breaks out. Looks tremendous. And as the countdown ends, a new sell setup is forming, and now we can look for something around 12 and change. First resistance, first major resistance, that is. And this is another interesting name. So let's put this in our watch list. TGTX. Great looking company. Great looking stock. And the stock obviously closed the gap that created back in September of last year. And any pullback in the stock could be a good opportunity to get in. So it has a history of some volatility. So this would be just a trade and not, so far, it doesn't seem to be a good name for long term yet. Hasn't really hit its stride of consecutive quarters of being consistently less volatility. So we have to wait until it gets more, gets less volatile before we can really look for it for a long term, as a long term idea. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. Lyft is continuing to sell off. Let's look at this on an hourly. There it is. So the hourly is now started to come in, and as you can see, this will be the first line of resistance in an hourly. Top of this buy setup. So well, that was a 15-minute bar. So yeah, it's too early for the hourly, but the 5-minute and the 15-minute, they do coincide roughly. So that's a good sign. This is the 15-minute chart. I don't really trade half an hour, but same thing with the 30-minute bar. So this is basically the consolidation that this is based out of. All these setups. Let's look at another IPO recently, Levi's. So after the 9, it's not a surprise that it came down to pause at the very least. Can't really rule out a bounce back here. And we'd like to see this stock close above and follow through above this high of 23.24. So 23 and a quarter at the end of the day, as it closes, anything above that is a good confirmation that we are we can anticipate a more buying from momentum traders. Right, and we can wait for it to settle out. All right. So not the daily, look at the hourly, to where the stock settles. There should be some support at this level. Same thing with the 5 minutes. And we'll see how the stock holds the $23 level. I would like to see it print the 9 in a 5-minute chart. If you guys are looking to place for a quick entry, it's a good possibility. We went negative here. Which for anyone waiting for a good entry is a good sign. Because you'll have a lower risk if you enter as the stock comes down a little bit more. But the fact that it went higher than this previous high, and this low is higher than this previous low, that is a very good sign. So one thing you have to watch out for as the stochastic was overbought at this level, and the MACD is starting to roll over a little bit, so you can be patient and wait for this stock to give you a better entry. So if you've just been following our channel, you'll definitely see some of these trades come out, and then you can see it live with our tools to see where they are. And it's something that's interesting to you, then hopefully we can provide you with good opportunities to make some of these trades. TGT axis continue to go. And this looks like a nice runner, so it should give us opportunities in the next few days. And these are the type of days where you could wait for. It is very choppy, so you have to do your due diligence as to how the fundamentals are and some of the news that are coming out of the stock. Left continues its sell-off for second day in a row, and we'll see in the 5 minutes if this is a place to bounce or this is another area where it could break down. Blink. Let's look at this name. Hasn't followed through yet, but the fact that it's up is a good sign, especially if we break through this level. This is a high risk, high reward type of scenario. 340, supports 280, 275. It's pretty wide, but again, this is a breaks through here. You can go 3.5 to 4 and change, and possibly close to 5 as well. So again, high risk, high reward for this name. Let's look at the hourly here. So you can see the stock settle nicely like it did here. So if you can anticipate that to show some sign of stability here, then that would be a good place to, or a good stock to look at for a trade as well. A couple stocks we saw last week, GLBS. As we try to model this stock from its recent rally here, never really came about last week, so it basically died out over here. This is what we're looking at. It died out over here, so it's different than this recent rally. From here, and as if you're a trader, and we did a trade on this live, and you want to make a quick 5% on a failed breakout, net using our strategy. Very choppy name. The 13 is finished, so we can kind of see how it ended up here as well after that 13, but this recently had a reverse split. So this is one of those, in my opinion, pump and dump stocks where you see pump and then everybody dumps it, especially after a reverse split. But there are tradable areas. If you're into these high flying stocks, I mean, some of it's worth it. I mean, if you can get from $3.5 to $9 in 2 days, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a pump and dump. If you can get in properly, I think for some people it's worth the risk. Obviously, it's not for everybody, but I would take that trade because I'm a little bit more of a trader. TGTX continues to show strength. Broke out here, a little flag pattern. And now it's showing more strength in the 5-minute chart. And on the hourly chart, after this 9 on a sell setup, followed by 13 countdown, and now it's getting followed by another 9 setup. That should complete a 9-13-9 pattern. So as you can see here, you saw 9-13, even though it did stop at 13 and pause a little bit for a few days. So those are just areas where we've seen people take profits at the 9 and 13s. So if you bought it here in the 9s, right on this area, after it printed a 9 here, even here after it created a 1, or even here, you can always take some profit, 6.5, 7 if you're more conservative, or you can let it go to the 13 take some profits there as well. Same deal here. You can bought 9 on the hourly if you're a trader. You see it on an oversold level. MACD started to turn up here, and something that you could have taken a quick profit, even though it's very small, 7 to 730. It's not much. But if you're conservative, and you can let the other half run if you want to see how the countdown finishes. And the daily still looks good. And these huge volume is, again, a good sign that institutions are coming in, and any pullback eventually could look favorable in the short term. Other big names. Lennar, talked about this before. Look at daily first. So after hit some resistance levels up here at 52 and change, came right back down, and this is where it kind of matters, where the MACD was really too far off from the recent high, and that's why you saw some weakness. That's where you can see divergence, especially without a follow through. Okay, so now we can wait for it to maybe get back down to an oversold level, and see the stock digest this recent rally from 45 to 53. For a big company like this, that's a nice rally, and usually followed by some consolidation. If you look at it from a reverse, from here to here, the stock made a new low. From here to here, the stock made a new high, right? But then the MACD was off. Same here. So as the stock comes back down to a more favorable support area here, was in stochastic was back to oversold, and the MACD continued its rally here as well, even though this is consolidating. I'm sorry, this was rallying. Then that would have been, as you can see, where the stock reversed, especially after a sell setup was formed. So that's how we use this indicator to see how the rest of the other price indicators are acting. So we'll see how the rest of the price plays out over the next few days. KSS, KSS, S. This is set up nicely here. The hourly hit some resistance at the 200 bar moving average. So bunch above that would be better. Give us more confidence to get in. Solo. Again, this is interesting. The 913 is finished, and now starting anew. So this is an interesting stock. It's double bottom. And this is just right around the 9. But this was the support we're looking at, and it's still within that confine. So this is an interesting play. Blink. Solo. Bring it down here. Actually looks strong here. It's a pot stock. Everything's supported here. But this is a bit of a cup and handle. This is the cup. This is the handle. And if it breaks out of this, then we could probably anticipate the weekly to finish its sell setup. So 4 weeks of an upside momentum. But let's see how that turns up. So it's kind of similar to where it was here. This sell setup, and after it turned, the only difference is now you're looking at a lower, the stochastic is not as strong. So you can make an argument that this might not play out the same way as this, even though the count is the same and the price structure looks the same. So cup. So I mean, I guess it's more likely that this is somewhere around here instead of this count. Even though it broke out above here, but the price structure, I mean, the indicators are not exactly alike. So we have 9 more minutes. And however, if you guys are watching the replay and you have other questions, see how the rest of the day goes, let us know. So SVMK turned positive, and I'd like to see it hit our price target. Again, if you guys are a little more flexible, if you see something like that, you can always sell it if you're trading closely. And also raising a stop loss is good for the stock. So if you want to protect your profit from 15.5, roughly, it's not a bad place to put a stop loss anywhere in this area, the $17 area, 17.25, $17, most likely. Could be a new place to stop. Just above this consolidation. All right. Below this consolidated area. And raising this stop is part of good money management. And again, that's where the difference between profitable trades versus losing trades is how you manage your positions. Again, I'm in the camp of better preparation is better than good preparation is better than good prediction. And with this tool, it helps us prepare better, anticipate better, and again, it gives us and give you, like it gives me, a good sense of objective analysis, and not much trying to identify what waves are we at or what does this candle look like, and some of these subjective trades, because again, we try to make it as objective as possible. I'm losing up work. 18 bucks a share. All right, somebody's getting out with big trades like that. So that was a 2 million share trade in 5 minutes. That was on the sell side. So if you are short this name, good job. And I'm sure Took some profits right away. 18.5 with 7% move while the market rallies. S&P/K, let's see if this can punch through. So we have 5 more minutes to look at some other stocks. This is a short biotech, and this is a bleeder. That's one thing about triple ETFs, triple leverage ETFs. They do bleed out. Same thing with either the long or the short. So until one day start to reverse, and it's good to have it in your portfolio if you're more if you're worried about any downturn. So eventually, it's something you could think about. This is the reverse of the financials. This is the long side, FAZ. Is the short side. That's all within a range of 10 and a little bit below 9. So the NASDAQ finished its 13 countdown, and now we can wait for the 9, the sell setup to finish. There will be some resistance here. The price and timing resistance. This is not as clear. It's actually the strongest out of all the other major indices. All right, so we clear the Dow. G that real brief. All right, so after that, 9 finished, and a little more of an extension on the downside, found some support. Probably try to see the stock back to the 50-day moving average, which is right around $67. It's a bit broken, so it really did print 9, but we'd like to see it perfected, which means it has to go below 6 or 7, where the 8 and the 9 could go below 6 or 7. That's part of the rules to see a better buy. We're here, so you can see there's an arrow. It's a perfect setup, which means that this 8 and the 9 is lower than the 6 or the 7. So if you bought it here, it would have been down for a few weeks, but it turned around. So it's within a context of your sell stop. Sell stop would have been somewhere where this bar is, the range of this bar, subtracted from the bottom of this buy setup. That would have given you, so the low is 22, the high is $23.10, That would be, let's say 21. So it held 21 roughly. We're doing all the math in our head, so we're doing it quickly. So bear with us. That's about it's about right. So 22.13 minus $1.08 to 21 and change. Even if you put it 21 and a quarter, you've been fine. And 21 would give you a little bit more of a. If somebody got shaken out, then that give you a better chance of staying in. And it's not much, 10 cents. Doesn't make a big difference. And then the stock rallied from there. So same thing here. It's not a perfected setup, so if you can get back to anywhere below this level, it would be a good time to buy it for the long term, 55 to 51. I'll see if this catches up eventually. So that would be a better place, even though I think because we had some support here, so some of the bulls took it here. But yeah, it'd be nice to really exhaust it, come down to anywhere around this area. Around this area would be a good buy. So that's a price support. All right, so it's 10:30, and the market looks to be strong. If you guys have any questions, feel free to contact me or contact our channel, our website, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow.